Hi students, today we're going to be going over Unit 3, Module 4, Session 3, Unit 3 Review. Number 1 says find and label the location of these numbers on the number line. It's okay to add more marks to the line if you need to. So we see we have 6 decimal numbers. We see that the first number on the number line is 0, then we have 1 and 2. So if we're looking at 1 and 4/10, I'm wondering what these marks, ticks on the line each represent. So I see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines in between. So this must be 1 and 1/10. So I'm trying to do 1 and 1/4. I would count 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10. And so 1 and 4/10 would come on the 4th tick right here. 1 and 4/10. Now if I'm going to mark off 75/100ths, I have to think how many tenths are in 75/100ths? There's 7. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7/10 and 5/100ths. So it's going to be right between the 7/10 mark and the 8/10 mark. So I'm going to mark 75/100ths there. 75/100ths is going to come right here, and I'm going to say 75/100ths. Next, I have 1 and 25/100ths. So again, I say how many tenths? 2/10, 1/10, 2/10, and 5/100ths. So it's going to come right here in the center. And so I'm going to say right here is 1 and 25/100ths. Next, I see 2/10. So it's going to count over here 0, 1s, and 2/10. Next I have 1 and 95/100ths. So I know that's close to 2 but not quite. It's after 9/10 before 2 holes right here in the center. So right here is 1 and 95/100ths. And then next I see 58/100ths. How many tenths? 5/10. How many ones? 0. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's more than 5/10, but not quite 6/10. It's more than halfway, because halfway would be 5/100ths, but I see that there's 8/100ths, so it's going to come right about there. So right there will be 58/100ths. Number 2 says use the symbols greater than, equal to, or less than to compare each pair of decimal numbers. So here we're comparing 94 and 598 thousandths, 94 and 643 thousandths. Well, I can tell that this side is greater because there's 6/10. This side only has 5/10. So the answer is it's less than. Coming over to the next one, I see 510 thousandths. 51 thousandths. 510 thousandths is greater. Again, I can look at the tenths mark and I see there's 5/10 versus 0/10. 5/10 is greater. Next, I see 509 thousandths, 590 thousandths. So 590 thousandths is going to be greater than 509 thousandths. So it's less than. I'm going to write in. Number 3 says when the odometer of a car reads 35,467 and 219 thousandths, the 5 stands for 5 times 1,000 miles. Use the expanded form to show what each of the other digits in odometer reading means. What does the 3 in the number represent? It represents 3 times 10,000 because the place value it's in is 10,000. What does the 4 represent? 4 times 100. The 6 times 10, because it's in the tens place. 7 times 1. 2 times 1/10. The 1 is 1 times 100th. And the 9 is 9 times 1,000th of a mile. Number 4 says the whole grid is worth 1. Write at least 3 different fractions and 3 different decimal numbers to name the part that is shaded. So first we have to look how many parts are shaded. How many strips? If we were to imagine these are strips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strips. So I know that one fraction, because it's asking me to write 3 different fractions and 3 different decimal numbers, one fraction would be 8/10. How do I write 8/10 as a decimal? It's going to look like this. Now, I can also picture how many tiny squares are there. There would be 80 squares. Out of how many total? 100. How do I write that as a decimal? That would be 80 hundredths. And I can then think about it as, well, several different ways I can think about it. I can even think about it as 2 strips. I can break up the whole grid into 2 strips each. So how many total parts are there in this whole grid? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many parts are shaded in? 4. So one option would be 4/5. And then I can, as a decimal, this one is a little bit more complicated, but how can we split 100 into 5 groups? It'd be 20 in a group. So 4/5 as a decimal number would be 80 hundredths again, but I already wrote that. So maybe I can even expand it out to 800 thousandths. So you might find some other equivalent fractions to the fractions that are possible for this grid, but those are a few that maybe you can come up with. Let's now take a look at number 5. It says, here's a chart showing the amount of rain that fell in Bookerville over the last 4 days. Monday, 1 and 3/500 inches. Tuesday, 2 and 50/100 inches. Wednesday, 3 and 6/100 inches. Thursday, 2 and 49/100 inches. Bookerville has a record of 12 inches of rain in 5 days. How much will it have to rain on Friday to beat the record by 1/10 of an inch? Show all your work below. And so we're trying to figure out how much is it going to rain on Friday. So as we see, we have already the rain on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we first need to find out the total. So we're going to add those 4 numbers together. 1 and 35/100 plus 2 and 50/100 plus 3 and 6/100 plus 2 and 49/100. 5 plus 6 plus 9. That's 15 plus 5, which is 20. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9 and 40/100. The record was 12 inches. And I want to beat the record by 1/10. So what I want is I want there to be 12 and 1/10, which is also 10/100. So I'm going to find the difference between our current total to what I want the record to be, to how much, see how much it needs to rain. 0 minus 0 is 0. I need to borrow here. 11 minus 4 is 7. 11 minus 9 is 2. So it needs to rain 2 and 70/100 of an inch, or 2 and 7/10 of an inch, in order to beat the record by 1/10 of an inch. Number 6 says, Mr. Mugwump is still confused about fractions. Use numbers, words, or labeled sketches to show him why 1/2 plus 1/3 does not equal 2/5. So it's asking me to use numbers, words, or labeled sketches to show. So maybe I can start by saying, using equivalent fractions. I can say 1/3 is equal to 10/30. And I could say 1/2 is equal to 15/30. And so 10/30 plus 15/30 equals 25/30. If I were to think about 2/5, how many 30ths it is? Well, 2/5 would be 12/30. So does 12/30 equal 25/30? No. So I can show that by saying 12/30 does not equal 25/30. That's why 1/2 plus 1/3 does not equal 2/5. As a picture, maybe you can draw a grid that is 5 by 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My picture is not really very accurate. 30 squares. And then you can draw in and compare 1/3 plus 1/2 and compare that to if you had 2/5. And so is the blue and the red together the same as the black color? No, it might be a little difficult to see, but the red together would be 5 by 3, which is 15. The blue is 5 by 2, which is 10. 15 plus 10 is 25. The black is 2 by 6, which is 12. Really, if you notice, it's kind of the same as what we said here in fractions. 12/30 is not equal to 25/30, but this is now shown in a picture. Let's look at number 7. Sasha has 1 kilogram of grapes. She gives 763 grams of grapes to her sister Carrie. Carrie then shares 598 grams with their twin brothers. The twins divide their grams of grapes evenly. How many grams of grapes does each sibling have? Let's look at this question again. Sasha has 1 kilogram. She gives 763 grams of grapes to her sister and then shares 598 grams with her twin brothers. The twins divide the grapes evenly. How many grams of grapes does each sibling have? So we have Sasha, we have Carrie, Sasha, Carrie, and then we have twin 1, and we have twin 2. So we know that Carrie has 763 grams at first, but then she shares 598 with the twin brothers. The twins split that in half. What's half of 598? That's right, 299 each. So each of the twins have 299. Carrie has the difference between 763 and 598. So we're going to subtract that, and we see that the answer is 165 grams. And now we just need to decide how many does Sasha have. So 1 kilogram is equal to how many grams? That's right, 1,000. So we're going to find the difference between 1,000 that they started with, and we can subtract either all 3 of these numbers, or we already know the combination of these two is 598. And Carrie has initially 763, so we can find the difference between 1,000 and 763. That's the number that's the amount of grams that Sasha kept for herself. And we know that that answer is 237 grams. So now we have all 4 totals that the siblings have. And that's all for tonight's homework.